Today I'm joined by Tanya Bugbee of Tanya Bugbee Coaching and Consulting. Tanya, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. And I don't, with the new year and everything, this is exciting.
It is, and I think it's a very apropos moment to have a conversation for sure.
Absolutely.
So, Tanya, can you start us off with sharing a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate and specifically into the coaching side of things?
Well, I got into real estate. My mom had been, she just recently retired actually, a realtor for a very long time. So when I was married, we moved quite a bit. And one time when we stopped, we were in Florida. My mom's like, "Why don't you get your real estate license? It sounds like you're going to be there for a while." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it really was more like a conversation, like, "What am I going to do?" And I still have them. At the time, they were maybe 2 and 4, 3 and 5-ish, two daughters. And so, yes, I stopped. I got my license. I went to Century 21 in Tampa, Florida, and I started, working as a real estate agent. And it's not easy. You don't learn how to run a business when you're in real estate school. I just sat there going, what do I do? How do I now run a business? And I was smart enough to know I'm running a business, but now what do I do? So my mom's like, you need a business coach. Seriously, probably one of the few times I listened to my mom. And I went and I hired a real estate coach. And the rest is history. I went from being rookie of the year to, selling more homes than I thought I could sell and making money. And I'm not going to say it was easy. However, my coach really made a big difference versus me just sitting there going, now what? So then again, about 2.5, 3 years in, my husband got transferred to California. And so then I go to California and I get licensed in California. And then I'm like, okay, how do I start again with zero people in my database? And I went, oh, let me call my old coach, right? Because I kind of stopped coaching when we were moving and getting settled. And then again, not to make this story too long, because we got transferred to Houston. And so then I started all over again in Houston. So that's one of my superpowers is helping people start their business from scratch because I did it 3 times. So about 7 years into being a successful real estate agent, raising my daughters now are moving and going to college. So my oldest moved out of the house and went to California. Then my youngest and went to University of San Diego. Then I have my youngest going to Pepperdine. So they're moving to California where we're originally from. And I'm sitting in Houston all by myself, right? And my coach, it was like right around October, November when my coach was like, well, what do you want to do next year? And I'm like, I want to get back to California. So so that coaching company actually recruited me in to become a coach. So that's when I sold my database, sold what I had in Houston, moved to Southern California and and became a coach for this real estate coaching company. And my children teased me that I followed them to college, and I did. Yes.
I love that, and I love all the way the pieces connect. And it sounds like you also had a little bit of DNA in there with your mom being a realtor, sort of leading the charge, as it were. What does your day to day look like now?
Well, I have a solid database of real estate agents, broker, lender, and I also coach other businesses as well, business owners. The majority of my clients are realtors, and I have some other business owners. And so my day starts with what I call my miracle morning, where I gather my thoughts, get centered, visualize, do affirmations, look at my goals. I really do plan my day and plan my week. And then I start coaching. And I start coaching early in the morning because I'm on the West Coast and I have clients scattered all the way through to the East Coast and they want to be coached in the morning. So a lot of my calls will start at 6:30, 7 a.m. to honor those folks that are on the East Coast. And I typically end my day around 2:30. Then
I
I get
love
my
that.
exercise in, and then I get to be grandma.
That's great. So you coach people, whether it's a realtor or another business owner, entrepreneur.
Yep.
What do you think is the number one thing you help them with?
The number one thing I help them with, great question, is the actual strategies, the actual plan, and I customize it to their lifestyle. So everybody comes with me with a goal. I want to sell 30 homes, or I want to, if it's an insurance agent or a roofing company, right? I want to roof X amount of homes. The goal is typically clear. It's the how to get there piece. So that's the roadmap, the strategies, the tactics to go from point A to point B, so that by the end of the year, they've reached their goals. And like me, if you go back to when I first got my license and I'm sitting there going, now what? Because there's so many options. So narrowing it down to the specific person, for example, I might coach somebody who's got two young kids and very little help at home to watch them. How is that young person going to sell 20 homes that year? What's the best strategies for that person? So social media, doing online meetup groups, networking. There's a lot of networking still being done online because she doesn't have a sitter yet and the kids are under 5, right? So we come up with strategies so that she can execute. Where I might have a 50-year-old gentleman who's single who also wants to sell 20 homes or 30 homes. He's going to get out. He's going to get out of the house, go network. What's this person going to do? Same goal, two different people, same goal, but two very different strategies to get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. So the strategist and the tactician, but again, aligned with people's lifestyle, essentially.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. And then being flexible to go, okay, this road is working. Or you know what? I coached this morning where someone said, I'm not sure I'm going to like this one specific strategy. I'm like, well, are you willing to give it 90 days and then we can regroup? Yes, absolutely. Great. Because if it's not working or they're not executing, might not even wait 90 days. So then problem solving, what's stopping them from executing the plan that we created? Because it's definitely we created.
yeah.
So
You're
that's the
working in
number 2
partnership.
help is the execution and the accountability.
Yeah, and I think that's key for a lot of entrepreneurs as well. Is that accountability
Correct.
piece that's
Yes.
often missing. It's so easy, so much easier to be accountable to someone else than yourself.
Oh, we can let ourselves down all the time, right?
For sure, for sure. So you mentioned a couple times that it wasn't easy starting out, and it's been a challenging. There's been challenges along the way. Was there a time when something didn't work out, and what did you learn from that? What did you gain?
That it's okay to fail. Absolutely okay to fail. For my own business right now, one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome was and I have a business coach. So years ago, when I first started my own coaching company, my business coach encouraged me to go to LinkedIn and start participating and communicating and posting in LinkedIn. And after a year, nothing was happening. Yet I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to feel like a failure. I don't give up. Tanya doesn't give up. However, most of the realtors are on Instagram and Facebook, especially depending on the age. It's Facebook, and if it's younger, it's Instagram, maybe even TikTok. And I had to learn that it was okay to let LinkedIn go and go somewhere else. However, for months I struggled with that. Like I felt like a failure if I gave it up. Sometimes it's okay to, fail and learn from it and move on.
Yeah, so key. So how has that shaped the way you lead and coach today?
I want my clients, well, one of the third thing I help them with is their mindset and how they tune into a radio station that's either full of self-doubt or a radio station that is courageous, willing to take a chance, willing to fail and start over again. So I my coaching is checking in often on what radio station, their mindset that they're tuning into.
I love that analogy. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but it makes it so, it's so crystallizing and makes it so clear as to where your thoughts are. Are they in that positive bend or that negative self-doubt bend? But tuning it into that radio station is
And
very
we have
powerful.
that, we do have the control to switch it. We're all going to go to the negative once in a while. Like I will go, oh, Tanya, what are you doing? At your age, why aren't you this or what, and I'm like, stop, switch the station. Take it down, stop, breathe, pause, switch the station. Because it's easy to get into the, especially if we have external voices helping us with our mindset too, right? Some very well-meaning external voices that love us might say something that has us spiraling in a direction that we need not go.
So true, so true. What's the one truth about leadership or business that you would share with new entrepreneurs?
The first place I go, especially if they're working with other people, like an assistant or buyer's agent or transactional corner, the number one thing we work on is clarity. Being clear and having clear expectations. Ambiguity throws off the team so fast, it goes spiraling backwards. So I want to say we always start when we start talking about leadership and when we lead ourselves as well, leading others is clear expectations, clear direction.
Yeah, that's so key, isn't it? It solves, I think it would prevent so many problems. And communication is I think people look at communication, or maybe I should just speak for myself, is, you look at communication, it seems so simple and so obvious, but it's a skill.
The
And
skill and the clarity piece. Like I have a virtual assistant and I'll quickly email her something and she'll go, I have no idea what you're saying. Right. Or I'm unclear and I'll look at it and I'll go, well, it's clear to me. Right. However, then I'll stop, take a breath, look at my sentence, and I'll go, oh, I can understand why this is a little ambiguous, right? So, yes, being super clear.
yeah, so key, so key. So every business has its rhythms. What's been flowing easily lately, and conversely, what feels a little messy these days?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. What feels messy for my clients and for me is making sure that we're not buying into all the hype and negativity in the news, getting stuck on Facebook or any other social platform where it may not be the truth. So the messy piece is, I call it, my metaphor is putting your blinders on and running your race and ignoring all that stuff outside the blinders. Because that just can be so hurtful and damaging. And again, hard for us to stay into the right radio station if we then start going down the rabbit hole of negativity out in the space of news and social media and all that stuff.
There's a lot of noise and a lot of distraction out there. Yeah, yeah, and you definitely need to put the blinders on for sure. And what's been flowing really easily for you in your business?
What's been flowing really easy for me is, I don't know if 2025 was an easy year for me. So I'm going to have a authentically difficult answer for that. I did not skip a beat with coaching, stayed laser focused on serving my clients. However, I had a lot of family things come up. My mom went through the entire year with cancer, and I had sold my home, bought a new home, relocated and moved. And then my daughter sold her home and relocated and moved to another state, all in that year in 2025. So I can't say that it was smooth. It was very overwhelming.
I can imagine a lot of moving pieces, a lot of transitions, a lot of big changes happening, and a lot of dynamic shift. Historically, what has been working well for you in your business?
Serving my clients, and then in return, my clients then referring business to me. The number one priority is making sure that I serve them well and they're winning and they're going to fail. However, we then keep going and win. And then the shout outs and the referrals from them has been amazing in 2025.
I love that. I love that.
So hopefully, not hopefully, that will continue in 2026. And I am personally setting, not that I can set boundaries around some of my family members' health. However, setting some boundaries around how often I travel to help people because that, you know, I do like helping, right? So it's like, I'm still running a business too. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. That's a fine line that we draw, and boundaries do get blurred for sure. For sure.
However,
What?
it gives me the compassion and the empathy and knowledge when it happens with my clients too, right? I'm not the only person that has someone that has cancer or your adult child is moving or having a baby, right? We all have those major life events and we still want to be successful businessmen and women. So sometimes I think the universe is like, Tanya, make sure you remember this.
Here's your test. What questions do you think leaders should be asking themselves more often but rarely do?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm going to go back to the clarity. Am I being clear? Am I setting clear expectations? And I think for me, so I'm going to pass this on to everybody else is how am I leading myself? Not just how am I leading others. I personally believe leading ourselves comes first because we do lead ourselves.
Tanya, clearly you've come a long way. You've built up a really great book of business. What's lighting you up for your next chapter? What are you excited to create or experience in the next year?
And this next year, I'm excited to create more business, help more business owners, realtors, brokers. I really want to create more workshops. I have one or two workshops that I love. I'd like to create a few more that's needed out there for the real estate profession. Um, and I'm excited to create more wins for my clients.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to leave our listeners with one key takeaway. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone navigating change in today's market?
Stop and breathe. Slow down. I've lived so many changes this in 2025 between obviously politics and economics and family stuff is to stop, sit in a chair and breathe. And then one step at a time.
I love that. And especially at this time of year, the most
This is a
opportune time.
great time to stop and take some time, right? January 2nd or January 5th, when we start ramping back up again, it's just around the corner. Give yourself some grace to breathe, stop, and prioritize what's the most important thing for me, or what's the most three important things for me. It doesn't have to be 25 things.
I think I heard something that if you have more than three priorities, you have none.
Right.
So yeah.
Yes. And remember that some of the priorities are health. When with my clients, we start prioritizing, planning, strategizing in November for the next year. So by the end of December, they have what's called a one pager, which gives them their tactics for their goals. And I want to make sure that there's other goals there too. Obviously, I'm their business coach and I'm their other coach, if it's their health or their family, right? So this morning on a coach call, I said, okay, your business goals are great. We've got your tactics. What are some of your personal goals? And there's always a health goal, an exercise goal. And I'm like, great, what are your tactics for that? Let's put it all on one page. So it's not just business, it's other things as well.
The two go hand in hand, right? Especially as an entrepreneur, you got business, you got life. It's all rolled into one.
Yes. Yes.
One last question. How do you define success today?
I define success as very personal. It is what is successful for me would be different, maybe, Karen, than what's successful for you. And success for me is I'm competitive, I'm driven. So it's hitting my weekly goals, right? Hitting my quarterly goals. And something I've learned over the past 5 years of owning my own business, it is, for me, it's, yes, it's business, my business goals. However, I never thought I would say the word grandmother, right? It's like, when did that happen? I know how it happened. It's like, when did it happen? And how did that happen so fast? So success for me is taking that breath and prioritizing, okay, grandmother time, personal help, personal fun time. That's success for me. It goes beyond business. However, I am competitive, so yes, I have to throw in their business.
I love that. Like you said, success is a very personal decision, a very personal definition, and I love your definition of success. Tanya, thank you so much for sharing your story and your nuggets of wisdom with us. Where can our listeners find you online?
They can find me online. I'm on Facebook is my primary social media site. I do have a website, tanyabugbee.com, very easy to find. You can snoop into LinkedIn and Instagram. Those are the minor ones. Facebook is the majority one. I go live twice a month. So there's a broker and a lender, and we go live twice a month on Facebook. And all that information is on my website. So I'm not hard to find.
And we'll definitely have those links in the show notes below. And again, Tanya, thank you so much for joining me on the Leadership Lab podcast today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate your time too. It's been fun.
Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.